Okay, so now that we have created the advert, I'm going to show you how you can create some different advert variations to test it and see what performs better. And this is a really important step because to be honest, no one really knows, no matter how well you might think something will perform, no one really knows how well it will actually perform until you go ahead and do it. So you need to test, even though sometimes it's pretty obvious or sometimes you think it's pretty obvious what will work and what doesn't. You still need to test because you just never know, and sometimes your results from your testing may surprise you. So what we want to do is create some different variations of the advert we just created to test what one performs better. So what I'm going to do now, and what I also recommend that you do, is whenever you're editing adverts or anything like that, is you go to the Power Editor. So if you go to your Create and Manage section and then click on Power Editor, this is the best way really and the most powerful way to easily edit your adverts. So it's worth getting used to now and using it now, just so you can get to grips with creating adverts. And this is a very useful tool, especially if you're creating multiple adverts and multiple campaigns in the future. So the sooner you learn how this works, the better. So we can see here, as long as we've got this part selected here, the campaign section, this will give us all the different campaigns that we are running for Facebook ads. So we have one running at the moment, which is the one we just set up, which is building traffic from a social media post, well actually to a social media blog post. So we're gonna be digging into that one. So let's click on it and let's see what we can do. And then here, once you click on it, you have your advert set. So your advert set is pretty much your audience and how much budget you want to spend targeting a different set of audiences. So targeting different audiences is also something else that you can test, and I also recommend that you have a look at testing that, especially if you're not really sure what kind of people will perform better with your advert. Then I strongly recommend that you set up some testing for that and see how that works. And basically, I'm going to show you now how to create different advert variations, but the principles that I teach you right now will also work in a very similar way to testing different audiences. And I'll have some different videos on testing audiences anyway. But for now, let's just test different advert variations. So I'm going to click on the audience, and then we have the advert that we just created. So it hasn't really got a name. It's just called default name traffic. So I'm going to edit that first of all. And let's just give it a name, just so we can remember what it is. So what I normally like to do is I just like calling it advert A, for example. Actually, in this case, what I'll do, because it's promoting a specific blog post, I'm going to do the name of that. So this is the social media infographic blog post. Okay, and I'm going to do, actually, let me do advert A. Cool, so we'll just leave it like that for now. So I'm going to click on this arrow here to close that. And now I've edited this advert, so I've changed the name on that, and you can see it has this arrow pointing up. So that means you are ready to upload the changed items. So once you've right now, once you've made any changes, it's not actually going to go live until you click here where it says review changes and actually publish them. So anything you change here won't actually go live. So if you made a mistake or you want to stop doing what you're doing, you can just click on discard changes and just leave it as it was. But once you're happy with all the changes you've made, you can then click on review changes, and you can see how it performs once you've implemented it. So right now, what I want to do is I want to duplicate this advert because I want to create different variations. So I make sure that I've selected it. So just click on the checkbox here and then click on duplicate. So here, there's different ways to duplicate. I normally just click here on the duplicate button. I make sure that the campaign is the same. So leave that selected as it is. So you don't want to change that. And then you can choose how many different copies that you want to do of this advert. So I'm going to do 3 more different copies. Now, you don't want to go crazy with this and start doing 10 or 20 different copies right now, especially if you're starting out with a small budget, which I do recommend that you start off with a small budget initially. You don't want to do lots of different advert variations because Facebook might not actually get around to showing your advert to all of those different variations simply because there's not enough money in there to do that. So in the beginning, to start off with, I normally recommend 3. Actually, you could even do 2 to 6 is normally a good number. 3 is a sort of a good number there in the middle. I'm just going to do 3 more here now. But yeah, anywhere between 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 should be a good number to sort of test. But you want to make sure that you get enough views, and I'll show you what to look for a bit later on. So for now, let's create that. So let's create 3 duplicates. So it's just going to duplicate it for me. So here we are. So they're selected. So I am going to make sure 1 is selected, and I am going to call this advert B. Okay. And the first thing I want to test, because I think this is based on my assumptions and experience, but I think the text sounds pretty good. So I want to test really the image. I want to try out different images and see what performs better. So I'm going to go down to where it says the image, and I'm going to change the image. So I've already selected a few more that I can use. So I'm just going to upload them now. So I've given them different names. So I'm just going to test all the images and upload them one by one and see how they work. So this is the second image that I want to test in advert B. Okay. So I'm going to leave everything else the same. I don't want to change any of the text because that could skew the results. So I just want to literally only change the images. So I'm going to close that. That's fine. Let me move on to the next one. So I'm going to edit that too. Same thing. So let's change the name, advert C. Let me change the image. So I'm going to upload another image. So let's see how that looks. And if I ever want to crop it or maybe get a certain part of it, I can click on crop an image and choose, whatever I want to choose to be a part of that. So that's fine as well. Cool. So I'll leave that here. Cool. So that's done. And then the next one I'm going to do is I'm going to click on advert. I think this is D, advert D now. So let's call it advert D. And let's change the image, and let's do another one. So I'm just going to preview this one. So we've got that one. I don't want to test too many right now. I think I'll test, just have a look at that one. I think I'll test this one for now. Just see how that goes. And you don't have to test everything straight away. You can just test even 3 or 4 like I'm doing now. And once you know the one that performs the best from those adverts, you can then test the one that performs the best with another one, with another image, and see what one performs better. So it's a continuous process of testing and optimizing. And the reason it's good to test is because it will reduce the amount of money that you pay to Facebook, because the better results you get, the more clicks you get, and the more relevant your advert is, the cheaper it will cost for you to advertise to people. So I quite like this one. I think this image could actually be used probably in some sort of lead generation campaign as well. So I'll keep that in mind. But for now, I just want to see how it goes and see how it performs when we actually test it. So that's cool. So I'm going to leave that as that is. So that's good. So you see I've made these 4 changes. Nothing is live yet. So I still need to review the changes and accept it. So let's review the changes now. And let's continue it, and then those changes will be done. So I'll have 4 different adverts that I'll be testing to see what one performs better after a period of time. And then I'll come back once I'm reviewing it and show you what I need to look at and what you should look at when you're testing your own adverts. So cool, so let's just leave that running for a few days and see how that goes.